Regardless of what scale you might be collecting, one thing brings us all together, and that is the need for GSE and the fact that we can never get enough of it. So I was really excited when I last year exclusively could come with the news that A4Airport was planning to release new GSE sets. And today in 2024, we can now finally take a look at the very first set of separately sold GSE from A4Airport to see what they have come up with. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at the GSE Set 1 from A4Airport. The set we will be reviewing is in scale 500, but it does also come in scales 400 and 200 with the same type of vehicles, but in slightly different ratios. In the scale 500 set, we have 6 Follow Me vans, we get 9 buses, we furthermore get 10 aircraft stairs, we get 10 cargo containers, and then we have 4 airport vans, however, in 2 variants. That means 2 airport service vehicles and 2 first class vehicles. So let us open this cardboard envelope and see what A4Airport has come up with. Inside the cardboard envelope, we have a paper envelope with some quite interesting information. Now, obviously, we have the set 501, so the very first GSE set. The set 502 has already been announced, might by the time this video is released already be available. But what we can see here is, of course, we are in the category self-assembly. Those are paper cut GSE sets. But they do also plan to make premium 3D printed sets, and I can't wait for them. But for now, we focus on the self-assembly sets. And here we find a sheet with the assembly instructions for all the various parts that are included in the set. But A4Airport does also regularly update their YouTube channel with instruction videos, so if you are in doubt, check out their channel. Furthermore, we of course have 2 sheets. Those are the most important ones because that's where we have all the GSE. A4Airport has printed the various GSE onto 2 pieces of paper. And A4Airport keeps their print standard as high as possible. So this is the same high standard that we also see on the other A4Airport products. Very, very lovely, because the prints are as sharp as they can be. No edges that aren't sharp. Nice colors. Overall, really, really great print quality here. So a very good basis for paper GSE. Now, when it comes to the assembly, this is actually fairly straightforward. Usually you are assembling basically the body of each vehicle, and then you are adding the sides afterwards. One thing I can say for certain is that I recommend using an art knife when cutting out the various pieces. You can, of course, also in a pinch use a scissor. Use a ruler as well, so you are cutting really right at the edges. And of course, do follow the instructions so you don't mess up your GSE. Furthermore, the way you can assemble it, you can use various types of glue, but I actually prefer to work with double-sided tape. That has, for me, in my opinion, given me the best results. And a pro tip here as well, add the double-sided glue to the sides of the vehicles before cutting it. That will make it much easier for you to assemble afterwards. Now, this is for sure a lengthy process, cutting out all the pieces as accurately as possible and then assembling them. I mean, it's a great project for those late evenings where you just don't have anything else to do. Put on Netflix, put on YouTube, watch BongoPlanes, and then just cut out the pieces while the video is running in the background. I have done this a couple of evenings to assemble the things I have here in the video. It's been a joy to do, but of course it is a lengthy process and something you have to consider when buying this GSE. Now, when it comes to these aircraft stairs, on the stairs it actually says A320 and 737. So those are the aircraft types these stairs have been designed to, but I wanted to check it out to see how it actually works. So when we place it next to a 737, yes, it does work, although the stairs tend to be slightly to the taller side. So I would actually say it works better with the A320. This is of course a disadvantage with these paper stairs. They can't be height adjusted. So of course they needed to find some kind of a middle ground where it kind of worked for various aircraft types. I would say yes, it kind of works for the 737, but it works better for the A320 family aircraft. Now, when we look at the containers, and this is really what made me buy this set, because you just can never get enough containers, and getting 10 containers in one set here is quite good. But how do they compare size-wise to, well, for example, containers from Herpa Wings? Alright, so we have this container now from A4Airport. Obviously, there are various container types from Herpa Wings in various sizes. This is the largest one from their container set that they released many years ago. And I mean, from the height, they are identical. So that's exactly the same. We have a little smaller one here from Herpa, which has like a curved edge, and then we have the one which is pretty much square. They are obviously lower, but I think the one that is more or less the same type is, if you can see it, this type of container here, which also has a print on the side. At least it used to. I don't know if they are making it again. It probably will have been cut away, but here, that's the same size. Now, another reason why I wanted to make a size comparison here is because I have for a long time had the feeling that the A4Airport GSE tends to be a little bit bigger than what we, for example, get from Herpa Wings. But as we could see with the container, that was not the case. So how about, for example, the bus? Well, yes, if we compare it to a Herpa Wings bus, it is slightly taller, but also slightly shorter. And that's of course because, well, they are not based on the same type of bus, and buses do of course come in different sizes and shapes around the world. But I would say this is absolutely within margins, and my original concern was not warranted. So there we have it, the GSE Set 1 from A4Airport in scale 500, and what can we say about this new GSE set? Now, obviously it is a paper cut set, and this will not be the right thing for everybody. I know that there are people out there that just don't like paper cut, and that's fair enough, because obviously there are some challenges. I mean, this is really tiny, and there are limits as to how small you can make these paper cuts before you just can't assemble them anymore. And as I'm sure you could see in some of the recordings here in the video, when we get really close, we see many of these small inaccuracies. And while I'm not the most gifted one when it comes to this kind of handiwork, I don't think you can make it much more accurate than what I have achieved here. And I can understand when people say, I don't like that. But there are a few things I think you should consider before completely discarding the possibility of ever getting paper cut GSE. Now, the first and probably most obvious reason is the price. I got the set for €5, and the amount of GSE you get for that money is unbeatable. Except for the fact that when I ordered it, they actually had a pre-order discount, which meant for every set I ordered, I got one for free, which then brings the total price per set down to €2.50, which of course is even more unbeatable. So the sheer amount of GSE you can get for very little money is, I think, a very good argument. And we want as much GSE on our airport setups as possible. Now, the other thing you should consider is, of course, when we make super close-ups of GSE and we see these inaccuracies, it might not always look as nice as with 3D printed stuff or things from Herpa Wings. But how often do you make these super close-ups of one specific type of GSE? Most of the time, it will be stuff that is in the background of our aircraft models. So when we make recordings of them, it is not the main focus of the image. And that means these small inaccuracies become even less visible. But what we of course want is a lot of GSE around and behind our aircraft in the background of our images. And this mass of GSE, if you had to pay for that with 3D printed stuff or the stuff from Herpa Wings, I mean, you are getting poor. But here you have the option of getting quite a lot of GSE for a very reasonable price. And I think that is perhaps the best argument as to why this is at least worth considering for your setup. Now, this video is not sponsored. This is my honest opinion. And this is why I can also tell you that the main reason I bought this set was for the containers. I'm not that interested in the stairs. Perhaps the vans, the buses also not so much. And I would honestly have preferred if the ratios of the set were different, scaled more towards the containers, less stairs, less buses, because I think that's what we actually need more of on the airport setup. But I also think that with, 10 containers in one set, so 10 containers for €5, and then the additional stuff, it's a pretty good deal. And again, I can really fill up my setup with a lot of mass, a lot of GSE around my aircraft models. And then, of course, if I really need these close-up shots with GSE, I can use maybe other stuff, but I get the lovely filled up background. And for that, I think this GSE from A4Airport is ideal. But what are your thoughts on this new set from A4Airport? Would you ever consider getting paper cut GSE and use it in your airport setups? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And with that, we have reached the end of today's review. If you have enjoyed this video, then feel free to leave a like. If you're new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.